keep having them. So
Thank you, sir.
okay, recording शुरू हो गया.
Hello. Sir, still there is a problem, I guess, sir. We are not able to hear you.
Do you all have employee satisfaction surveys? Yeah. So one of the main reasons why it is done is to check how happy people are with. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about job satisfaction and how it has a relation with attrition rates, because the more satisfied people are, the more uh, the happier people are, and they will stay in that company. So now I do know that sometimes the employee satisfaction survey is not properly done, and it is more political than actual, but a good company will ensure that the employee satisfaction survey and the harsh feedback they receive from employees used to correct organization policies rather than looking at it as an trying to prove that it's a great company when it's not. Okay, so job satisfaction and attitude have a big relation. But attitude, remember, is also about personal choice. It is about you can decide what sort of attitude you bring to work. Some people in the company, in the team, have a positive impact on the entire team. True, you met such people. We can't put a finger on it, but somehow when that person is in the room, we all are a little more satisfied. We are a little more motivated when that person. The person could be a boss, it could be a team member, it could be somebody outside. Yeah, come. So whatever the reason, we find that, and we have the people who are also the negative influences. You also have met people who are negative influences. Okay, so I call these negative influences betals. You know, after Vikram and Betal. You know the story of Vikram and Betal? So what did the Betal do? He's not behind. He did something worse. Yes. Yeah, but what did he do before the story? He climbed on top of Vikram. So these people, you go Monday morning, you're all charged up saying, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do this. And you go and have a coffee with a Betal, and the Betal will get on to you. Then nothing is good. What is this? Look at the water, look at the tea. And you'll find that your positive energy is being sucked out by these Betals. So try to avoid these Betal. Attitude is about, yeah. So attitude really is about, can we, some part of attitude is choice, some part of it is on the basis of others that we surround ourselves with. So what we'll do is we'll look at a clip, about from a movie to understand. Okay. Now, before I play the clip, let me give you a background. It is from a movie called Men of Honor. Have you heard of a movie called Men of Honor? Some of you have, only one person has heard of it. Okay. Let me tell you what the movie is about. Now, in the US Navy, African Americans were not taken as sailors. You could join as cook and cleaners and that level. You were not allowed as a naval. You can't join as a sailor, as a warrior. Now, it was a very discriminatory policy. And there was this gentleman. This is a story about the first naval diver. Not only became he joined the fighting corps, he became a diver. A diver is a lot, it requires a lot more skills than a regular sailor is. You need to go down, so there are tests that are done, and you have to be in physical shape. Now, what happened? This is based on a true story. So what happened is, this person, he was there was a bomb that had slipped from a ship and was at the bottom of the sea. So they were trying to retrieve it. You can't leave it'll corrode and it'll pollute and it will create havoc. So they were trying to retrieve it. And he went there to retrieve the bomb. But what happened is, when the bomb was being lifted, kya kam? When the bomb was being lifted, it slipped from you tie the bomb and then you lift it, right? It slipped from that, and his leg was crushed by the bomb. So he's lost his leg. His leg had to be amputated, and he had to take up a prosthetic. Prosthetic is an artificial leg. You've seen the artificial leg. So he had to do that. Now, this gentleman could have then said, okay, what can I do? God's fate. My leg is crushed, and therefore what I will do is I will do nothing in life, and I'll remain in the Navy, because the accident happened while in Navy. The Navy would have given him a pension, disability pension. And so he said, no, I will become the first Navy diver with an artificial leg to serve in the Navy. It had never been done. Now, a lot of people were not very happy with a black American, African American becoming a diver. They were not very happy with that. So you can imagine the furor it created when somebody said, I'm going to become a diver with an artificial leg. So now what the Navy board says is, prove to us that you can do it. So what you have to do is, you have to wear that very heavy, at that time. Now the diving equipment has got lighter, but yeah, come. But then in those days, it used to be very heavy. So what they're saying is that you need to wear this very heavy the divers gear, and you need to take 12 steps. That will prove that you're physically capable of doing that even underwater. So this is really about this man's effort to prove to them. Now remember, his leg has been chopped off, an artificial leg has been fixed. He's not in the best of physical shape, but he's trying to prove to this board that he can carry some very heavy diving equipment and walk 12 steps. So this is the clip for that. So
Square that rig and approach the rail. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight.
Gentlemen, his leg. Please. Gentlemen. Navy divers, stand down.
Divers, you will disregard. This is my detail. God damn it, Cookie. Move your ass. I want my 12. Nine, the Navy diver is not a fighting man. He is a salvage expert. 10, if it's lost underwater, he finds it. If it's sunk, he brings it up. If it's in the way, he moves it. 11, if he's lucky, he will die young 200 feet beneath the waves, for that is the closest he will ever get to being a hero. Hell, I don't know why anybody would want to be a Navy diver. Now you report to this line, Cookie. At ease.
Okay, so I hope you liked the clip. This is about the diver didn't have to come. The diver didn't have to do all that. He could have accepted that condition and said that it is not my fault, it is nobody's fault. This is what happened. But he chose to fight it. He chose to say in spite of that, and he went on. This is historic fact. He went on to become the first diver in the Navy with an artificial leg. And what happened because of that, it actually opened doors to a lot of people with artificial legs to do other professions. Because if you can do, diving is a very, very physically demanding profession. If you can do that, you can become a truck driver, for example. You know, if there were truck drivers who had lost their legs. So attitude really is about wanting to do something really badly or not wanting to do something really badly. So both things are possible. And it basically is about an evaluation about how you actually feel about something, either positive or negative. Okay, it could be about an object. You could have a positive thing about an object. Can you think of any object where people have a very positive idea about any object? Can't think of any. Plants, something more emotional than that. Laughing Buddha, okay, more emotional than that. Okay, any bikers in this entire, okay, biker, you love your bike? That's a positive thing about it. Again, I don't have to see his bike. I know it would be nice and clean. It would be very well maintained, neatly balanced, because he loves his bike. And you could have a regular person with, caked in mud and not very well maintained. So we have different attitudes. Uh, does somebody, all of you know, have heard of this company called Harley Davidson? Harley Davidson is not the biggest brand. All of you know that it's not the big. Does you somebody know which is the biggest brand? No, no. Worldwide the biggest brand. All products, biggest brand. Brand is measured by how many people know your brand. No, no, no. Something. Apple, yes, Apple. Number two is Google. Number 3 is Coca-Cola. More people know about Apple than they know about Coca-Cola. Okay, so in 10, the brand ranking started somewhere in 1970, and Coca-Cola was the consistent number 1 for about 40 years. Then Apple and Google took over. Today in the world, more people know about Google and Apple than they know about Coca-Cola. So Harley is not the biggest brand. It's a big brand, but it's not the biggest. Does somebody know what is Harley's? Okay, they make great bikes, I agree. But when it comes to people who use it, what do you think is the Harley's claim to fame regarding its users? Harley has a very unique distinction among its users. No, they have something more than that. They have the largest number of users who tattoo Harley's logo on their body. Positive attitude, that you love the brand so much and you identify with the brand so much that you actually go and get Harley Davidson's logo on your arm or something because you want to identify with Harley. They're called hogs, right? They call them. It is called Harley Owners Group. They are hogs in Bangalore too. But these people are very fanatical about that. So it is about not just about a person, and you can feel the same about a person. Some people are positive about somebody. It could be somebody you know, somebody you don't know. Okay, it could be an actor, for example. It could be a sports person that you know. You could have an attitude about that person too, or it could be about event, about a process, about everything. Now, uh, when you're talking about attitude, they have 3 main elements. There is an affective, there's a behavioral, and there is a cognitive. So we'll start with cognitive. Do you understand what is cognitive? Cognitive is a logical thinking part of the entire thing. Okay. So my attitude is what I think it is. And when it comes to an attitude, we talk about cognition, what I think about somebody, what I think about something. That is the cognitive part. We'll come to what it is. The behavior is how do I behave because of what I think about a product, about a person, how do I behave? And lastly, how do I feel about the entire thing? So there are 3 parts. So the cognitive part is the part that you talk about. If somebody you like somebody, you say, I like his attitude, I like the way this person thinks, I like the fact that this person is a team player, I like the fact that this person is always helpful to me. These are statements that you give. And because of these statements, you behave like this about, you tell this person that you really like this person, you enjoy working with this person. And you have positive feelings about the other person. Now remember that the feeling part is much more powerful than the thinking part. The feeling part is, come. The feeling part is what drives the feeling part. The feeling is the predominant feature that drives the way you think. And when there is a conflict between feeling and thinking, it is the feeling part that takes over. So the feeling is a more powerful part of any human psyche. So if you thought you were a completely logical human being, remember it is just about 20% of you. The 80% is still the emotional part of you. So the attitude can come from the fact that I'm thinking positively about somebody. I think that my boss is somebody who supports me and will help me grow in this company. And what will I happen? So I will become a little more cooperative. I will show that I'm happy to do something beyond my job to my boss. And therefore, I will have positive feelings with working with my boss. The same thing could happen with the negative thing. That I think my boss is terrible, it doesn't support me, always shouts at me. And what will happen is my behavior towards my boss will then become more negative. Yeah, I will be less cooperative. I will not be very happy to work with that. and I will have negative feelings about my boss. Okay, so what happens? What should we do when we have negative feelings like this? So fine, all this is fine. What do we do, or what should we do? You can't control it. Sorry, will decrease. Yes. So what should that person do? That's an easy way out, and you lose out. Because if you're a good employee, remember it's a lose-lose. The company loses a good employee. You're going to a job which may not be great. So both of you lose. It should be the last resort, in my opinion. Okay. Okay. That's we'll come to that. You're right. But before that, go talk to him. Tell that I don't like this about you. I didn't like this. What about it? Now, somehow people are reluctant to do that, and they would rather take drastic steps. And you're free to convince that person why your thing is. The moment you start feeling and you are not doing anything about it, that feeling will build about you, and it could create a problem for you. Productivity drops, and you could ruin your relationship. So if somebody is irritating you and there is reasons for you to irritate, you go talk to that person. That is, so a lot of this attitude and the behavior will change. So the other thing that the person he was talking about is reframe. Reframe is you try to look at it from your boss's point of view. Is the boss right? Maybe the person is right. You may not agree with the boss's action, but you'll at least understand your boss. You will understand why your boss shouts at you, because the boss has a deadline too. The customer is shouting at him and you are not delivering. So you might say that, he shouldn't have shouted at me, but yes, there were reasons that I gave him to shout at. So this attitude will change. So try to look at it from that. Try to look at the positive, like he was selling. Try to look at it about the positive things of it. How do you do that? What does the boss tell you after the boss has shouted? You've been mean to you. He's been mean to you. He's been shouting. You've been pushing you. What does the boss do? All bosses do this. Parents do this. Those of you who are parents, we do that. So they say we are doing this for the good of you. So you convince yourself that the person is actually doing it for your good and you will improve. The person wants you to improve. So you're giving a positive spin to that. All these are tactics to improve your relationships with people and to say that I'm learning from you. But I let me tell you from experience that I learned more from tough bosses than from easy bosses. The easy bosses still remain friends, but I learned a lot from the top boss. I could see that in 6 months, the sort of development that I had, because this person pushed me really hard. And this person, so yes, when I realized that, relationships improved. Till then, I would say, what is this? Always shouting, never happy, wants me to do it. But I could see myself do a lot more. And I had a wonderful boss. We remain friends. Wonderful thing. We had a great relationship, but I didn't learn much. I learned much better from a person who was a lousy human being who would shout at me, who would call me at 7 o'clock in the morning. But, I come from the financial services. We have the year ending in March, and March is always a tough time. I don't know if it is even for production. It could be we have to ensure everything gets done. So it's a hectic month. So we are running really crazy. So I would have a meeting with my boss at 8 o'clock in the night to tell him that, look, this has happened. Okay. He would call me at 7 o'clock the next day to check out what I was trying to do the next day. And of course, he would call me 3 times in the day. But what happened was that it forced me to plan my next day better. I would have answers. First day I fumbled. Next day I was prepared. I told him this is what I'm expecting. So, and it became a habit. So I was very sure when I came 9 o'clock in the morning, what I wanted to do. I would tell people that, look, all this had to be done. It was all very clear. can lots of times it is we choose our attitude. We will look at clips to tell you about how people actually choose an attitude, and we'll show you another video about a person who. But basically, this is what attitude. Now, okay, so yes. Like I told you, we borrow heavily from psychology. We don't take all of it. We have taken it, and then we have we are using it in a business thing. But yes, anything to do with how people think has come from psychology. That is the basis. And there are, of course, very big theories about all this. We are not getting into all this. We're just getting into the fact that people behave. So uh, this has been a big thing as to how do we get a group of people to work better and to do things better. So this has been a constant struggle that all companies go through. That how do we get these people to become more productive? How do we get these people to do things even better? How do you get people to get along with you? Okay, so the first studies that were commissioned on teamwork actually happened by the US Navy, because the new US Navy said if you put a bunch of people into a submarine, then how do we ensure they get along? You can't have people fighting on a submarine. You know, when a submarine is submerged, for about 20 days, 25 days, you're underwater. That's it. And it's a very cramped metal tube. So you have, and they are all sailors, which means by nature, they are aggressive people, they're warriors. And submariners believe that they are the elite of the navy. Okay, so they think they are good and they want to, they fight. And you put a bunch of these people together and take them whatever 20,000 feet under the sea, and they don't get along, there could be a disaster. So the Navy study was on how do we actually get these people, or how do I choose the right people so that they actually get along with each other. Now, they got some insight. Is there a foolproof formula? No. That you still have to manage on the ground. The same thing could happen in a team too. You could have conflicts. You could have people who don't like each other. You can do all that. Now, uh, yes, they will. Yeah. No, this is a common problem. Anybody else who's been in transition, IT companies, who's been part of transitioning team, who have brought in work from the US, same thing happens there. It is universal. You've been in which country? Did they cooperate with you? Okay. No. They don't. You see, nobody likes somebody coming and taking their job. Nobody likes. The attitude. Your first attitude is that this person has come to take my job. Would you like him? No. Would I want to cooperate with him? No. So okay, companies have got better. They've been managing transitioning a lot better. They have been trying to convince other people, you will not lose your job. We are only moving that, but you will have a job. They have done all that. So the one way that, so how do you think you should manage this attitude? And I'll tell you an interesting way in which American companies do that. No, first sack people. And then they tell the other people, we have sacked that people, that we don't have people, we're moving that work to India. The rest of you are going to stay. So that person does not have a fear of job. So it is not the right method, but it is an interesting way to solve the problem. So the guys who were on the hit list got out, and the rest of the guys at least didn't have a fear of losing their job. And then the transitioning was much better. So you say that, look, okay. Yeah. Uh, Yeah, but companies have realized this. So I hope your company realizes that it's a tough thing. Transitioning is a tough thing. It is not easy to just, it is not a mechanical process. Okay, it was in US, it let us move to India. It is not a mechanical process, which is what was believed maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago. That's not happened. The companies also realize that. So they put in transitioning plans, and there are talk to people and do all that to ensure that it doesn't happen. Now, what are what what makes an attitude? The first thing is that uh, what is how much of whatever is that person or the job or any other event, how important it is to me. If it is very important, then I will have a positive or a negative attitude because it's important to me. Okay, so um, that is what is the it is very well. So if anything related to the job, my own performance, obviously is a great thing to me. So I will take the attitude will be positive or negative. Now, how important or how accessible is the other person who's causing all this? And social pressures. Social pressures is a big thing. We'll talk about more about this in team, but what happens is that the team, what does a team do? Does a team say, let's do a lot of great work? Some teams do, but most teams say that let's not work so hard. So there is social pressure. There's somebody who can do a lot more. Other team members say, why are you doing all that? This is what happens in tea breaks. Why are you doing that? Nothing will happen. Just relax, chill out, go watch some movie. Don't. So there are social pressures that bring in attitude. It could be positive too. It could be really positive that um, in London and in US, the doctors take their jobs very seriously. Okay, so they believe that excellence in the field is a very important criteria to be a doctor. So what happens there is that if somebody is actually doing some malpractice, the doctors turn against them, saying that you are a disgrace to our community, and they actually throw that other person out. So attitude towards somebody who does negative things or wrong things is bad. So you could have that too. So attitude towards, so a team can say that we will be high performers. So anybody who is not a high performer will have a tough time in our team. So you can have that. So you could have sporting teams have always done that, where the attitude that they have is that of excellence, that each of us is a world champion and we can do great things. So if you're looking at the better teams, so if you're looking at those of you who follow cricket, the Australian team that used to be there under Steve Waugh, a few years ago, those would all believe in excellence. They say the biggest boast about that Australian team, it had people like Vicky Ponting, Steve Waugh, Shane Warne, Glenn McGrath, all of them. So the biggest boast that the entire 11 people had is that we can walk into any country's national team. We are that good. So I don't have a Indian citizenship, but if I had, I would get an automatic entry because I am world class. That was the boast. So that is the attitude of the team, that we are all world class. We are among the best in the world. So if you are a mediocre guy, then God help you. The team pressure is going to ensure you either up your game or you're out. So any team which takes excellence as a goal, ensures high standards, puts social pressure to actually improve performance. So I don't know if that happens in your team. Most of the teams, the negative happens. Let's not excellence, why bother? Let's do. But a team that takes excellence seriously, you will ensure that it happens. So that is what creates attitude. And one of the things is that it whether this person directly has an attitude or not. Sometimes we develop attitudes on basis of what other people say. You may not really have interacted with some individual, but everybody tells that person is terrible, does not cooperate. May not be true about that person. May not be really true about that person. Okay, so you could have that. So let me tell you my favorite story. I was working for a finance company. It was called Kotak Mahindra Finance. It is now called Kotak Bank. When I was there, it was not a bank. And I moved from Hyderabad to Mumbai. And if you have worked in Mumbai, you really have very, very tiny workplaces. You can keep a laptop, you have storage above that, and that's about it. So laptop, one coffee mug is all that you can keep. That's how narrow it is. So it's very cramped places. Rents are really high. The place where we were in Mumbai. So we used to have a senior vice president, and she would have calls. And she was handling international business, so she would get calls from Hong Kong and all that. And for some reason, she would take that call on speaker. And Bombay, there are no very thick partition, thin partition, so we could all hear some very Chinese accented English, and there's some discussion happening about something that none of us bothered about it because it was her area. And I asked people, so we got talking about it and over lunch, and I told her, why don't we tell her that it is disturbing us? So they told me, no, we can't tell that. So I said, what do you mean you can't tell her? So they said, she has a reputation for throwing paperweights at people. So, very aggressive. We can't tell her. My head is very precious. Paperweight can do a lot of damage. So I thought it was a stupid idea. Why would somebody throw a paperweight? So anyway, I went. So since I was new there, I said, I'm the best person to go and talk. So I sent her an email saying, I'm new. I just want to come and introduce myself. So we had heard of each other. We had never worked together. So she didn't know me personally. So she said, I'm for free at 4. So I went and met her there. And she had a very sharp, beautiful, sharp paperweight, those pyramid shape, very sharp, made of glass. And her cabin was very small because in Bombay, you don't have large cabins. So if she had thrown that at me, it would have caused a lot of damage. So I positioned myself at the door so that I can and put my head out. So, I could duck very carefully. And we had a very pleasant conversation. And I told her that I just have a request to make. This conference calls you take, uh, can you just reduce the volume a little? So she said, oh, it's disturbing you. I didn't realize it. I'm very sorry. And from that day, she never had took those calls on speaker. It was as simple as that. She must have told somebody in half in humor that I'm going to throw a paperweight, and that became a sort of that she throws paperweight. Nobody throws paperweight. You can kill somebody. Why would somebody do that? So lots of times our attitudes are based on what other people tell. And these are usually negative. I'm not saying that all of them are wrong, but I'm saying a lot of it may be exaggerated. And you may not find that person to be as bad as that. So it is always good to actually check out that do you have any evidence of that, or you simply just because you feel like you're saying that attitude is bad or that person is bad. Sometimes people unnecessarily get negative this one. So um, actually there was this person, and this person came from audit. Do you have audit in your company? Audit are people who, do you have process, or do they come and tell you that things are wrong? So, so the reputation of this person was very tough give, and he'll come and tear you apart and all that. And this person, actually, when I had the audit, was actually quite logical, and actually we had a logical discussion. The points he talked about were logical. When I gave a logical explanation, he listened to that, and we had a proper discussion. And then I got to know him better, and I told him, you know what, the general impression that people have is that you're a tough person and you do things, but you're not a person like that. You're actually a very pleasant person, very logical, very methodical in your work. So he laughed at me and he said, that is something that I ensure I feed that impression about me, because when people expect me to be tough and I'm very logical, they're pleasantly surprised, and then it becomes easier for me. So sometimes attitudes are wrongly created. Sometimes people create all these tough images when it is not needed. So this is about little about that, but let's move on to job satisfaction. And this is very important, that Yeah, yeah, it will be. And if you know that manager better and you develop a relation, your attitude will change. So it is about that. Yeah, yeah. You have different attitudes over different things. I might love my bike, but I may not like something else. So yes, you're absolutely right. I could have different attitudes. With people, ask yourself if your negative attitude is justified. Check out your negative attitude, find out if it is justified, if it is exaggerated. You will find a lot of times it is. And if it is something that you can't help, then you will have to figure out a way to reach out to that person. You can't have a negative relation with your boss. It's going to hurt you more than hurt the boss. If your boss has 10 people, he does not care if you don't like him. 9 people do, and that's enough for the boss. But it's going to hurt you. So it's in your favor to go and build a relation with boss and build a. See, I have worked with really bad boss. We've had stormy relationships. But over 6 months, we sort of, I don't know why 6 months, but it's sort of 6 months, we could figure each other out. And I could see good things about that person. He saw good things in me. I had people who would tell me nasty things to my face. But over a period of time, we sort of got going. So I am a great believer that when you get to know a person better, your attitude will change because you feel that you see the human side of that person. You will soften. And when there is a relationship, uh, there is some amount of comfort that you have. So some things you can get done just because you know the other person. So build relationships. It's important, especially with important people like your boss, the customer. So this is universal. This is nothing to do with India. Okay, so that is why when you become a senior manager, you need to learn to play golf so that you can meet people in an informal setting. Yeah, I mean, it is. If you're a mediocre thing, most people are mediocre golf players. But you get about an hour or two to just talk to somebody, get to know the other person. The more you get to know the other person, the easier it becomes for you to work. Because even if you don't like that person, you will understand that person and you will develop some amount of comfort. There'll be some amount of leeway in the relationship. So reach out to people, build relationships with people. Important skill. More you collaborate. The funny thing I think I told in the last class was the more automation, more need for human skills. Because now uh, less people are working in a company, less people are manning all these automations. So these people need to get along much better. So this is a skill that is going to become more and more important. That can you get along with people? So if you look at any of the top bosses, most successful people, they're all people who can get along with people. You know, sometimes is not good for the organization. Steve Jobs was not a very good human being, but he got Apple to where it is. Tim Cook is a much better human being, gets along much better with people, but you know the results are fine, but it is no longer a very exciting company. So you could have those problems, but when you have a really negative impression about somebody, ask yourself if that is justified. It could be justified, it could be true, but just ask yourself. So evaluate your attitude to that person. uh, One of the major points about job satisfaction comes from your attitude towards a company, towards your team, towards your boss. So this is what causes job satisfaction. And the more satisfied you are with a company, the more satisfied you are about about the job that you're doing, it is very unlikely that you're going to leave the company. So it's very unlikely that you have that you're going to leave a company which is where you're feeling very happy. So lots of companies get away by paying you lesser salary because they know that they have a number of satisfied employees who will not leave, just because the salary is maybe 10 or 15% lesser than what somebody else would pay. So using too much of a hassle. So That is what is job satisfaction does. And we've seen extreme examples of job satisfaction. The best known case has been 9/11, when the Taj Hotel was attacked by terrorists in Mumbai. The largest number of people who died in that hotel were not guests, but were employees. The employees died trying to protect the guests. So just imagine how satisfied an employee should be there to say that I'm going to risk my life for a guest. The guest is so important to me that I'm going to risk my life for that. Okay, so uh, if you read about 9/11, now there is a case study, there is enough videos about it, you'll realize 26/11. Okay, not 9/11. Okay, 26/11. Okay, World Trade Center. Okay, 26/11. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Now, it was now the first thing that the hotel people are trained is where the exits are, because fire, other disasters are a big risk in a hotel. So you need to know where they are. So they're trained, drills are done. So all of them knew where the exits were. If they wanted to run away, they could have run away, but they chose not to run. So these people chose that they say that I'll stand up and fight. I will choose to not run. So that is the level of satisfaction that you have. That people actually said that uh, very, very, modest jobs, but people took their job seriously, saying there's an attack. We will not run away. We will help those people. Okay, so there was they have telephone lines in any hotel, and they're manned by telephone operators. So these telephone operators called up 500 rooms and told every room that switch off all lights, go to the bathroom, lock the door, and don't open it for anyone. That was the instruction. So when the army team went, they broke open each room, because the instruction was that you will not open it even if somebody says, I'm an army guy. If you're an army guy, break it open. So they had to do that. And you had these people doing it knowing that there's a terrorist, and maybe the terrorist is going to just barge into your office and shoot you. They did this. So lots of people actually, and the largest loss, what they were trying to do is that they were trying to form a human chain and try to escort the guests out. At that time, there was the terrorists came there and shot these people. Very, very sad thing. So a lot of people lost their life then. Okay, general manager lost his family, but didn't abandon his post. He knew that his family was shot, because he stayed in the penthouse in that hotel. So the one of the first things that were attacked was his family. His wife and child were shot. But knowing that, he still didn't abandon, and he stood there and said that I'm going to ensure that every guest leaves. That is job satisfaction. That's about, that is when you say that this is not just in Taj group. So there was this, the one of the things that were attacked was the Churchgate station, very busy station. So what happened was that the guy who was making the announcements, he said, now I must warn that. So in a very calm voice, in Hindi and in Marathi, he kept repeating that there is a terrorist attack, just go away as quickly as possible. So he saved multiple lives, because all the loudspeakers, he kept making these messages saying that please go away. And if you know Bombay, about half a kilometer from the Taj group of the Taj Hotel is the Kolaba police station. And the first thing the police guys did was to run away. Not a single guy saying that, okay, you will take action tomorrow if I'm alive. So I'll see what will happen then. You can't sack all of us. Same attitude. So you have a young guy who's saying, I'm going to save my guests. And you have a guy who's actually tasked, his role is to protect you. And he says, no, I'm going to go away. My life is more important. The attitude is what you bring to the table. That he was not an inspector. He's a senior guy. He's from head office, and he came with all those thing, and he got shot. Right? There were two of them got shot. But I'm talking about the guys who should have gone and responded in the first place. And nobody was available. So this this is about the attitude of the people, that you can same event, you could have multiple attitudes. So you could have the same attitude. Why did is something right or wrong? I really don't blame the police guys. Now, mm, no, not just obedient to parents. Now that you ask me, no, they are. Yeah, I'll just tell you. The Taj group of hotels. If you're looking at a hotel industry, and I'm sure a lot of you have been to five-star hotels, the basic job, the number of jobs that exist in a hotel industry are very low levels. People who clean, the housekeeping staff, people who cook, security guards, people who are in front. These are all lower level jobs. That is where the maximum number of jobs are. Now, the Taj group hotels believe that we only recruit on one basis. So what they do is they go around asking people, tell me somebody you know who by nature is very helpful. Taj believes that is the only attitude that you should have if you should work in Taj. Everything else can be trained. How you look, how you speak can be trained. This can't be trained. So they say that your ability to help people, that is inborn in you. And that can be seen by other people. So when they go to, say, a school, a lot of it is recruited from smaller towns. So they go to an opinion leader, like say the headmaster of a school, and say, don't tell me your most intelligent students. Tell me students who you think are the most helpful. And obviously that person would say, these three people are very helpful. So then they talk to them about. So that is the only attitude they look, and that's the only criteria they need to have. Marks, how you look, all those don't matter. They're saying if you have this attitude, everything else I will train you. They have a 1-year training program where these people go through extensive training on everything. That is what will happen in 1 year.
Hello, sir. We are not able to hear you, sir.
Again, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we are able.
Okay. So if I move,
Sir, we can.
okay. So this is about how much of involvement you get from the job depends on the attitude. More satisfied I am, the more involved I have, because there is a basic job that everybody does. Are you going beyond the job and helping your team, making an impact in your company? That is involvement. How much of involvement do you take? You just say 9 to 5, I'll come, I'll do what is required and go? Or are you going to talk about involvement beyond that? That is what the entire thing is. So a satisfied employee is usually somebody who goes beyond the job. That is why satisfaction is so important. That is why it is measured. And also the fact that you have people who, you know, they stay there for a long period of time, skills remain, skills develop, all those things happen. Okay, so I was talking to the HR manager of a Toyota subsidiary. They manufacture things for Toyota. What is the attrition level in you understand attrition, right? Number of people who leave a company.
Yeah.
What would be the attrition level in your company? Roughly, whatever. But how much would it be? 20, 24%. Okay. Somebody like me, if it is less than 20%, I would say it is unhealthy. And this person told me it is 3%. So I said, why? He said, nobody leaves Toyota. When they come there, nobody wants to live it. So even though there is no growth, you can't have growth with 3% attrition. Growth comes from only two reasons. Either the company should grow or people should leave. There are only two things that will create opportunities for other people to grow. So 3% in a stable industry, you will not have too much of growth, but people are very happy, they stay there. So it was he was very surprised. He said, you know what, attrition has gone up. And I was thinking 30%, 35%. He's saying 3%. It was 2%, it has gone to 3%. I said, you're complaining. because all my companies, the minimum attrition was 20. I also worked in companies where 50% attrition was a norm. So it created chaos, but also brought in a lot of new people into the company. The psychological commitment, empowerment is that.
Hello, sir, we are not able to hear you, sir. Sorry.
Okay, again, 1 minute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
We can hear you.
Audible.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's audible, sir.
Audible? I'm sorry with this technical issue we have.
I'll have to. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry?
So there is an echo now.
Yeah.
One
1
minute.
minute.
This one?
The mic, right?
This one?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No echo?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's go on and talk about the cycle. Better? Now you can read? Okay. So the psychological empowerment, again the echo is coming, right?
Yes, sir. There is some echo.
We can, it's a little early. Just about an hour. Let me see if I can. Okay, I'll do my best. Okay, the echo means you hear me twice. 1 minute. Let me see if I can. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, so what I'll do is, let me shut my audio, the computer audio. Can you hear me now? Oh,
Yes, sir, but still the echo is there.
yeah, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir. Now, little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
But it still echoes, sir.
There's still echo?
Yeah.
Yes,
So you
sir.
can try letting it in a computer audio.
Can you hear me now? Again, the echo is there.
So there is an option called leave computer audio. You can just try that once.
Let me do one thing. Let me get the guy who can do this better. So me doing some R&D. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Should we take a break after about half an hour, or do you want it now? Yeah, no problem. So, simple question, give me an answer. I need to do an extensive campaigning saying, okay, how many people, it's good to take a break now, not good to take a break. I will never say no to a break. Okay. No, but do you, again, there is a problem there. The echo is coming. Again, they're saying it's not thing. So he came and he's also from.
Sir, it's fine now.
It's
There
fine
is
now?
no echo.
Yeah.
There is no echo
Okay.
now, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thanks. Okay, now, so we were talking about psychological empowerment. Psychological empowerment is that do you feel you're getting everything that you need to perform in your company? So what do you need to perform? What are the things you need to perform in a company? If I want to do a great job, what all do I need? But what do I need? Individual. What do I need? Training. I need training. Then what else do I need? Job description, motivation, support, direction. But I also need all the tools that are required, right? I need a laptop. I need whatever. If it is in production, I should have all that. So if I have all the tools, then I am psychologically empowered by the company to perform. So company has said, okay, these are all the things that you require, and I'm going to provide it to you. Remember, it is psychological in nature, which means that I might feel that I require something more. So there is also, in addition to all the hardware and the tools and the software, you're also about giving the direction, motivation, planning, helping you with all that is what psychological empowerment is. Okay, and then not to the customer, they can say no to an employee. That's more a cultural thing. We are more, they are more likely to. You see, there's also a cultural component when we deal with international audiences. We are, as a nation, not usually people who would want to say no to you. What would happen if a friend asks you to do something and you don't want to do it? What will you do? Will you say, no, friend, get out? Very unlikely. We will say, no, you know what, I'm very tired today. My father is also telling me not to go. My mother is also telling, my pet dog does not want me. You'll come up with it. But in a lot of cultures, they are trained to say, no, I'm going to do my own thing. So that is more a cultural thing. It is not just with Indians. The same thing will happen with the Japanese. The same thing happens with Koreans. They also find it difficult to say no. So it's more an Asian thing. So remember, the Indian S can mean anything. So when somebody says, you said do something, and the person says yes, it could mean anything from yes, I will definitely do it, to no, I will not do it. So you've had cases where people have told yes and then gave you excuses saying, no, this didn't happen. It was raining in Bangalore. I didn't have a mood or something like that. So that person knew, right? So it is more about that in a company than the anybody's worked for a German company. So you went and asked the German, will you do that? He'll say no, because that's how they talk. You would find it extremely rude in the beginning, but then you realize that these are direct people. What they believe is what they tell. It has a lot to do with culture. So we're not getting into culture. It is left to you. You can also say no. Learn to say no in a nice way. That's something we have to. That is okay. No, no. You can't do. Yeah. So yeah. So I agree. Okay. Now, to any response, there could be two extreme responses. One is to say yes to everything. That is one extreme. The other is to say no to everything. Now, when you say yes to everything, you will become frustrated because you're taking on more than what you can do. You should have told no. You should have refused a few things. You don't. If you say no to everything, then you become unpopular. You will get kicked out because people say you're not doing it. The middle path is to find a way to say no in a nice manner in which your relation is not spoiled, but you're able to get the message. Yeah. So there are many methods of saying no. I'm not getting into that, but this is what is called assertive communication. Are we? So the one extreme is very aggressive communication. The other extreme is very passive communication. The middle path is the assertive communication. Our ability to say a nice no very nicely, so the other person does not feel hurt. Okay, so I'm not getting into the. What is one way to say no very nicely? I am not let you know, or to treat this as an proposal counter proposal. I want this job done at 11 o'clock. Sir, 11 o'clock is difficult. Can I give it to you at 2 o'clock? So I am not telling no to you. I'm coming up with a counter proposal. That person not heard no. Yeah, how can I? 2 o'clock is 2 o'clock is the meeting. Okay, 1 o'clock will do. Did I move the timing from 11 o'clock to a more convenient time? Yes. Did that person feel bad with me? No, because the person is getting what they want. That is one way of doing. There are many methods of the. There is a person called William Urey, who's among the world's experts in negotiation. He's written a book which is about 200 pages on the power of positive no. He actually wrote a book called The Power of Positive No, but it is more to do with negotiation. But all this is negotiation. Telling no is negotiation. So yeah, so we are talking about, okay, we are coming to organization commitment now. Now, what is it I need to do to remain in that organization is the organization commitment. So if I'm committed to an organization, it could be not just a working organization, it could be a social organization. I might be very committed to work in the Rotary International. I can be very committed to work for a social organization. It could be any organization. But do I want to be? Uh, do I want? Do I want to ensure? Do I like this organization? Do I want to be part of it? It could be informal organizations. Okay, so informal organization. That do you want to be part of a group in a company? Okay, so what is the most popular group in a company? Which is there in every organization in the world? Sorry? No. They're informal group, no department and all. No. Too much. This is all R level. No. Fun committee is okay. No. You have a group of smokers. There is a brotherhood of smokers. I don't smoke, but it's a very strong bond, and they big group very clearly. Why? Because they feel that others don't like us. Everybody's irritated with the smoker, so they say, okay, all of us together. So they all go out as group and smoke and share the cigarette, which stopped with COVID. Then no, they don't. No. If you smoke, you will not get promoted. But yes, you could build relation. To that extent, I agree that yes, you could get promoted because you build a relationship. So you could there's always room for people to do that. So these people feel a part of that group, of being a part of that. So In fact, if you want to give up smoking, the first thing they say is to find people who will help you not be part of that group, to feel a part of some other group. You will not do it till then. Okay, so there's a little about psychological, this one, an organization commitment. How much do you think that the organization supports you is an important thing? Perceived organization support. If you feel that the organization supports you, anybody who feels that the organization has done so much for me will remain in that organization. My father worked for BHL. You know BHL. So my father worked for BHL, an engineer worked for BHL. But he and his other, we lived in a colony, so everybody worked from BHL. All my father's friends, most of them worked in BHL. So they all felt that they were helping India in some way, that BHL was helping India, and they, by doing a part of that and being a part of that, was helping India. So that was a very powerful motivation to remain in the company. So it was not just about salary, about a higher purpose in life, and that they're feeling that India needs our help, and we are going to help India in building power projects. BHL makes equipment for uh, the power sector. So they said that India needs electricity. We are helping do that, and therefore I'm going to be part of an organization that is helping India. So how much of organization support that there is? Okay, so the more you feel a part of an organization, the better it is. Okay, so anybody works for Infosys? No. Infosys found that even when people left Infosys, they felt a great deal of belonging to Infosys and would proudly tell people that they had worked for Infosys, even after they left. So they launched a campaign which was very successful to bring back those people. And they said that if you have left Infosys, you work for Infosys, you left, and now you think there could be a role for you, come and contact us. We'll see if we can find a role for you. They called that once an Infosian, always an Infosian, about feeling of being part of a group. So they quite a successful thing, because with one campaign, a lot of people came back and they were able to fill a lot of vacancies by doing nothing. So you sometimes have those things. How much do you think an organization gives you is an important? The more somebody feels that the organization has given me a lot, I would now like to give my maximum to the organization, and therefore I will be very satisfied, and my boss is going to be very happy and satisfied with that. Now, remember that uh, which one? Infosys campaign was about 5 years old. It's about 5 years old. No, there is. There are a lot of people who don't, but a lot of people still say that I'm happy working for Infosys. I got ESOPs and made a lot of money. So a lot of people have remained in Infosys. Now, we are talking about, we were talking about organization support. The more the organization gives you, the more you are willing to stay in that organization. So any organization that they give a lot more, in terms of job satisfaction, in terms of whatever about the food that you have in the job, that is what creates happy. And so any institution that you have, it is built on this. It is built on how much that employees feel that they're getting from the organization in terms of support. That is what creates attitudes. Okay, so how much, so when HR became more and more prominent in a company, people moved away from just an employee being satisfied to how engaged is this person. So have you heard of this called employee engagement? So all companies now are saying that we no longer just have to employ him. We also need to engage with this person. Check out what this person is doing. So I don't know if your companies called you up during COVID to just check out how you're doing, if everything is okay. Okay, so because psychological well-being became a big concern during COVID. People had psychological problems. See, if you are not from Bangalore, you don't have a support system here, and you are for some reason unable to go to your town, you're all alone in a PG, you're cramped inside a very small room, you may not be feeling very happy about the entire thing. So HR or some other part of your company called you up and say, hey, is there everything okay? Do you want some help? Basically trying to check out the organization support. Okay, so some companies ran sessions on how do you become on well-being, exercise, diet, how do you manage relations in the family? Because you were not there for 10 hours, suddenly you're there at home for 10 hours. People can't understand at home. So that is all that became a problem. That is when your mother would watch her favorite serials. But now you're saying don't switch on the TV because I have a conference call. It created a lot of problems at home, and different companies treated it differently. It is how much you gave to the employee when they actually needed. Did you reach out to the employee? So employee engagement is to look at each employee and say that if I need to retain every single employee, that is my motto. If I'm able to, fine, some people will leave, that's okay. But I will try to retain every employee in the company. So they are trying to engage with people, trying to ensure that they are more, not always easy. Okay, so what we'll do is now we'll look at an employee who is very satisfied with an organization. This person is handicapped, and we look at attitude and what this person did.
A few years ago, I was hired by a large supermarket chain to lead a customer service program to build customer loyalty. During my speech, I said, every one of you can make a difference and create memories for your customers that will motivate them to come back. How? Put your personal signature on the job. Think about something you can do for your customer to make them feel special, a memory that will make them come back. About a month after I had spoken, I received a call from a 19-year-old bagger named Johnny. He proudly informed me he was a Down syndrome individual and told me his story.
I liked what you talked about.
Down syndrome is a physical condition, medical condition that causes mental retardation. So this is a person who was working as a bagger in a supermarket, a guy who puts everything into, and he was mentally retarded.
He said, but at first I didn't think I could do anything special for our customers. After all, I'm just a bagger. Then I had an idea,
Johnny said.
Every night after work, I come home and find a thought for the day. If I can't find a saying I like,
he added,
I just think one up.
When Johnny had a good thought for the day, his dad helped him set it up on the computer and print multiple copies. Johnny cut out each quote and signed his name on the back. Then he'd bring them to work the next day.
When I finished bagging someone's groceries, I put my thought for the day in their bag and say, thanks for shopping with us.
It touched me to think that this young man, with a job most people would say is not important, had made it important by creating precious memories for all his customers. A month later, the store manager called me.
You won't believe what happened. When I was making my rounds today, I found Johnny's checkout line was 3 times longer than anyone else's. It went all the way down the frozen food aisle. So I quickly announced, we need more cashiers, get more lanes open, as I tried to get people to change lanes. But no one would move. They said,
no, it's okay. We want to be in Johnny's lane.
We want his thought for the day.
The store manager continued.
It was a joy to watch Johnny delight the customers. I got a lump in my throat when one woman said,
I used to shop at your store once a week, but now I come in every time I go by because I want to get Johnny's thought for the day.
A few months later, the manager called me again.
Johnny has transformed our store. Now when the floral department has a broken flower or unused corsage, they find an elderly woman or a little girl and pin it on them. Everyone's having a lot of fun creating memories. Our customers are talking about us. They're coming back and bringing their friends. A wonderful spirit of service spread throughout the entire store. And all because Johnny chose to make a difference.
Johnny's idea wasn't nearly as innovative as it was loving. It came from his heart. It was real. That's what touched his customers, his peers, and those who read this story. Great service comes from the heart.
You like the attitude of one person. This is what great attitude can do to the team. It lifts the morale of the entire team. So one person's positive energy actually makes a difference. So every time you think, what difference will I make? You can make a lot of difference. That is what positive attitude is. And it has a great impact on the organization. And we'll talk about that. We'll just quickly look at that this is America's data. So this is not really India's data, but look at them and you will see that these are the worst jobs. Look at the number one thing. The guy with the lowest job satisfaction is the newspaper reporter. So what do you think will happen when you get news which is reported by a guy who's not very satisfied with his job, who's trying to leave? Are you going to believe that? But unfortunately, that is what is there. So you have a whole lot of people with very, very low levels of dissatisfaction. So lots of jobs can cause a lot of dissatisfaction. Now, we most not paid equally. You're not going to pay. You're going to pay a firefighter more because it's a dangerous job. But yes, they all get good salaries. They'll not be paid equally. Now, by and large, people are happy. Okay, how satisfied do you think people are in corporate India jobs? If you took a survey saying that how many of you will leave if some other company made you an offer which was attractive, about 20% more salary, how many people do you think will say, I'll leave? Corporate India. 60%, about 50% was what the survey found. But isn't it a very, very low satisfaction, very low commitment in our jobs? We are constantly looking to find the other job, anything, who's going to look at this? People have left jobs for very, very silly reasons. Okay, so I'm a mechanical engineer, so a lot of my friends work for the mechanical engineering industry, and they have a great problem in some of you from Bueller, right? Yeah. You have a problem retaining people, attracting talent. Getting people is a challenge. Sometimes. So talent is becoming very important, and therefore the expectations of people are becoming more. And this attitude of that I leave anytime I want to, unfortunately, is not helping anyone. Okay, so we'll not look at it. We'll very quickly go through what are the main causes of job satisfaction. What do you think is the main reasons of job satisfaction? The first one is the job itself, the place where I work, the people with whom I work. That is what causes the greatest amount of job satisfaction. If people are happy with the team, very, very unlikely that they will leave. So the boss, the team, that makes a big impact on the job satisfaction. Nobody wants to come to a team where there's conflict, where there's a lot of politics, backbiting. If you say that, hey, I hate going to my team in the morning, then there is a serious problem. So you either change the team or change the company. It means you're really dissatisfied. People, it also depends on who you are as an individual. Some people are usually more happier. Some people are less happier and more pessimistic. So your personality can also play a role in the job. Um, the last one is corporate social responsibility. So it has been, does your company do some social service other than, um, okay, but do the employees go and do it, or the company? See, CSR is a mandatory thing in India, which means that some percentage of the profit needs to be given back to society. That's a law. You can't do that. You can do it in two ways. Companies might actually undertake projects where the employees go and do it, or you can just give money to somebody and they will do it. It has been found that when employees actually went and did something for society, it resulted in a great deal of job satisfaction. Okay, so uh, even if it's a small thing, okay, so even if you went and whitewashed a government school, even if you went and gave toys to, uh, Anganwadis are um, a crush. It's a childcare center operated by the government for people who are of the lower strata. A lot of working women there too. They have a problem with kids. So this, so if you went and gave toys, anything where people actually went out and did this, helped the company. So if you can do that, do that. I would recommend that you go out and do that. It could be anything. You can do something about the traffic. You can go to a government school and teach. You can help some blind school. You can do any corporate social responsibility. Greatly impacts the job satisfaction of people. Okay, so my wife is working in Oracle. She no longer is, and they undertook a lot of projects. So Oracle does not believe in giving money. They believe in saying that you go do something, whatever it costs, we'll pay for it. So you want to go and whitewash, you can say, I will whitewash. They'll give you t-shirts. You can go distribute Oracle t-shirts. You can go whitewash. All that is voluntary work. So say anybody who wants to volunteer for a corporate social responsibility, we're willing to pay you money for that. So it greatly impacts the team behavior. It improves team cohesiveness. It improves team a feeling of purpose in the team. So it really has a big impact on that. So CSR by teams is not usually the done thing. People have done lake cleaning, for example. They have gone and just cleaned a lake, the little that you can, where you pick up all the rubbish that you can find, put it in a bag so that it can be trashed. They've done that. All that has had an impact on the job that you do. Okay, so what is the outcome of job satisfaction? So you're going to have uh, the, they're going to be more happy and more likely to engage. And then the one thing that's going to happen is customer satisfaction is going to improve, and you will be happier in your life. If you're going to be a lot more happier in my life. So, my father, like I told you, my father worked for BHL. His friends all work for BHL, and we stayed in touch for many things. The level of job satisfaction that I saw in my mother is a teacher, or the satisfaction that my mother got as a teacher, I never got that in my job. It was something that I would envy, because my mother says I would now never take up another job other than a teacher's job, because that's the job I love doing. So I never saw that. And my son, who's about 5 years away from joining the corporate world, I think will find even less satisfaction. So it's going down. And one reason for that is that I think generally life satisfaction pressures have increased, and that is taking a toll on the jobs that we do. So, okay, this one that they engage in. Well, what OCB is that you engage in overt behavior, which is positive, and you show that you are satisfied with it. So any behavior that an employee does to show that the person is satisfied with it. How would an employee show satisfaction with the company? Today's job, today's world. Perform. Okay, that's it. What else would you do? No. Yeah, but how? Post it on LinkedIn. Do you write saying that I have a great company, I'm recommending it to people? You and the social media thing up. But do you go around telling people which company do you work? Okay, so do you say I work for Global Fortis, or do you say which company do you work? There's a company you will not have heard that company. Yeah, it's a small company. It is an upcoming company. It's a startup. So a happy employee will say I work for this company. Okay, so watch this. How many of you get food packets from Swiggy? I thought Swiggy. Yeah, on Swiggy, and you'll have somebody do that. Watch that guy who comes to give you that, and you will find the differences. You will find somebody who's really happy to be part of Swiggy delivering that. And you will have that old guy saying, yeah, take money. And you will have another guy. And I assure you, the other guy will come. That guy comes in rain, wearing a raincoat on that YOLO bike. He's driven some 3 kilometers on that old YOLO. YOLO, right? That blue color thing, which is nearly a cycle. He'll come on that, but he's smiling. He'll smile and give it to you. Why? Because he's happy doing that job. Are you outwardly, are you positive, and are you showing that about? What are you saying? You will find that guy who will not smile at you and they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. It doesn't really make too much of difference. I think there is some incentive scheme, but other than it doesn't make too much of difference. Okay, that's wrong. You should have called the company and told them that this is what your man did. I'm not going to give him 5. But yeah, my Ola driver told me that drivers also rate customers. So I said, okay, good for you. So, but then what happens is that, yeah, they don't force me to do it, but they're requesting that, why don't you give me a 5? It helps me. And if I think he's done a fairly good job, I do give 5 to people. Ola, they sometimes request, and I say, okay, fine. So do you have people who are actually happy doing the job, happy being in a company? Do they go around telling that, hey, you know what, I work for this company? Or do they, the moment somebody says, you know what, I work in a startup, I find it very strange. You work for a company, it has a name. Tell me the name of the company and tell me that it's a startup and we hope to become a unicorn very soon. I'm very happy to listen about it. But it's a startup. You're already, so are you very proud of your company? So what if it's a startup? Are you very happy about it, or are you do you show a lot of things about your company? Do you go around telling people you work for that company? Do you know friends of yours, which company I work, and I work for XYZ company? That could be one. Other people keep quiet. What are you doing? I'm an engineer. Okay, which company? Yeah, there is an engineering company. Okay, fine. It is like getting your teeth pulled. Hey, just tell me which company it is. It does not matter. It does not matter which company. Do you take pride in the company you work? Okay, so the do you wear a company T-shirt with pride, or you don't wear it? You wear it at home when nobody looks at you. That is what is. Okay, so we are running short of time for break. Okay, so we'll very quickly do this, and then what happens if employees are not happy? What happens is that you could have them doing behaviors which are counterproductive. So you have employees stealing employee user data. You have becoming employee, having fights with bosses, being late, absenteeism, all these are things that okay. The um, the thing is that there could be absenteeism, there could be turnover, lowers. This one, you could have. Do you have anybody worked in a company with a lot of turnover, a lot of people leaving? Okay, so I work for a company where 50%, I used to work for the insurance. And at that time, 50% attrition was considered normal. There were branches with 85% attrition. So, so 50% attrition is really bad, which means that in 2 years, everybody's new, statistically speaking. So you have a lot of things that employees do. The worst thing that can happen to you is a dissatisfied employee who does not leave. If they leave, problem solved. If they're dissatisfied and stay in the company, they don't cooperate with you, they don't do anything extra, they don't want to take any initiative, they resist any changes that you're trying to bring in, you have a problem on your hands. So you have a problem when you have dissatisfied employees who don't leave. Yeah, so what we'll do now is take a break. It is nearly 11:15, 11:30 we come back. People online, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back at 11:30.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Uh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So we now go on to the next part of. See, what happened was that when when companies started becoming companies sometime after uh, the industrial revolution, what happened is that uh, people people would ensure that irrespective of your mood, you would work, because if you didn't, you were thrown out, and you couldn't have that problem. So it became a part of. Uh, let me try to. Okay. Now, okay. We looked at one of the main things about productivity has been directly linked to this emotions and moods of people. So studies said that how do you ensure that moods improve? Okay, so how many of you work in companies where as soon as you go to the lobby, there are bright colors painted, yellow, orange, red? Okay, so which company is this? Amazon, yours? Okay, so which company? Okay, but why do they paint all these colors? Did you ask your HR why have you painted that? No, let's have nice white walls. Or do they have nice posters? You know, the idea is to ensure that people come there and feel happy. So bright colors always increase a sense of happiness. So that is the reason why you have to people paint bright colors, improve moods of people. And so this entire thing about how do we keep people happy? If people are happier, they work much better. So it becomes easier for us to handle that. So emotion and moods became very important in companies. Okay, so in about 20 years ago, if you went and told your employee or you told your boss that you're not motivated, you don't feel happy working here, you feel sad, negative, what do you think your boss would have done? What do you think would your boss would do in 20 years back if you went and told your boss that you're not in a, he'll ask you to leave. Today, if you went to your boss and talked to them about emotions, mood, and you're not happy, and that you're not feeling like doing, you might get a more sympathetic ear. I'm not saying 100%, but maybe your boss is going to be a little more this one and try to understand why is it that you're not feeling happy about working here. We are getting into a thing where productivity relation with emotion and mood is becoming very, very important. Okay, so we look at basically what is emotions, what are moods, what are the difference between both these, and then we will then go and look at emotional, what is EQ and okay. So what we'll do is we'll watch a movie so that you can understand what is emotion. It's very clear to understand the emotion in this movie, so you will not have a problem. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed Mr. G. Did it make you feel happy? Did it improve the mood? So for some time, short period, does it change the entire thing? So we basically look at the difference between emotions and moods, and then we say that anything like watching this movie, this is one way. It could be anything. Emotions are what happens for a very short period of time. You feel happy and or you feel sad many times during a day. Your mood might be neutral. Some you met a friend, you might feel happy for a short period of time. Then the boss shouted at you, you feel sad for some short period of time. Then you went back home, but the traffic was terrible. You shouted at a lot of people, got you angry for a short period of time. All these are emotions. Moods are what is mood would be something that would persist for a longer period of time. Causes of moods, we don't know why some moods are why some days you are moody, why you feel happy, why you feel sad. There may not be a very clear reason for that. So emotions happen for a short period of time, usually have a very specific cause, and then you can actually see the on the face, the body language of the person, whether the person is happy, sad, is afraid. You can see all these emotions, but mood is something that you can. It is generally a lot more. It is prolonged, and it is something where the causes are not very clear. You can't put a thing and say this is what is causing my mood. And it also is about the way you think. So it also is largely about the way you're thinking and whether there are more negative thoughts. The more negative, you really don't know why you're having negative thoughts, but that's about moods. When we are talking about emotions, there are 6 universal emotions. There is anger, there's fear, sadness, happiness, disgust, and surprise. Okay, so these are some things that we know very well. Okay, we all know anger. We know what is fear when we know sadness. Okay, we know happiness, hopefully. Disgust. Disgust also known as contempt. So what is the difference between anger and disgust? Or which do you think is better? If you had to choose between anger and disgust, which one is better? Anger, okay. Okay, why? What about disgust? You have not had people saying, I'm disgusted with you. No, it is when somebody shows contempt for you. They're not just angry with you, they show contempt, saying that is when you show disgust with your action or with your behavior. It is not just anger, but it is that I feel that you have done something so bad that I'm disgusted with you. I think this is something that simply should not done. And I show that emotion. How do I show that emotion? Show that disgust by, have you seen a sneer? In sneers, what have you done? These type of expressions is what disgust. Disgust brings a stronger reaction than anger does. You shout at somebody, nothing happens. That person will brush it off. Might feel sad for some time, but if you show disgust to somebody, you say you're an useless person, you're a lazy person, you just can't do something which is so simple. Okay, which degree do you have? WhatsApp degree? All those are, so disgust is expressed in sarcasm, in irony, and it hurts people more than anger does. Okay, so when you're talking to somebody and that person is disgusted, is showing sarcasm about you, about your way, it hurts people more. So when you're talking about emotion, this is something that you can see. Now, these are the effects of the structure of moods are that you can move from alert to tense, and you can go through this entire cycle. Okay, so what happens is that there is a high positive side when you're starting to become excited about the whole thing to relaxed and calm. So you could be, but you're still calm, but you're still feeling very happy about the entire thing. It has a calming effect. It's not about excitement, let's go type of thing. You're feeling calm about it. Okay, so you understand the difference between being calm and being excited. So sometimes we are excited about something, high energy. I might still be happy, but I'm going to be calm about the entire. Okay, so and then the entire thing from fatigue, where I feel tired mentally. Have you heard of this phrase called "I'm mentally tired"? Physically, I'm fine, but mentally, I'm tired. Usually, what we tell on Friday, I had a tough week. I need to chill out, fatigued. To all the way to stressed, upset, stressed, nervous, and tense. Okay, so these are the various moods that you can have. Now, all these are very normal moods. Is it you could be tense about something, about some event that is going to happen if there is an important presentation? It is okay to be tense because it is better to be tense and excited about it. So there are normal, all these are normal human moods, and you could be in any of these states at any period of time. But you are going to remain there for some period of time. It is not going to come and go. You're not going to be calm one moment and tense the other moment and then calm. That's not going to happen. Calmness tend to remain for a considerable amount of time, which is why it is called moods. Emotions might come and go. When you're calm, you could be happy, but you could be calm and not feeling very happy too, but you're peace at the world. You're chilled out. You say that I'm happy in life. I don't want anything more. So these are the this one, and emotions on a daily basis. Okay, we'll not look at the country. I'm sure all of you express and show emotions on a daily basis. Daily basis, you will be showing multiple emotions right through the day. So it is not very unusual to do that. Really, really, some countries are more. And what happens is that there is a thinking part and there is a feeling part, both of which contribute to decision making. Okay, so the decision making is a product of both these things. And which do you think has a bigger role? The thinking part or the feeling part? Both, but the feeling part actually helps you decide that. So what happened is there was this person, and there are two parts of the brain. There's a left brain and there's a right brain. Okay, so the left brain is the logical part. The logical thinking part is the left side. The feeling part is the right side. Now, what happened was that there was this person, and the connection between that was severed in an accident. So they didn't have any medical history to go by. So they treated him with whatever best they could. And they were curious to see what would happen to this person. So what happened is that this person looked perfectly fine. He was able to carry out all the motor functions. He was able to answer questions. So they discharged him, saying that it looks like everything is fine, and probably the connection is naturally growing back. That was the thing. So he came back after a month, and all the tests looked fine. And then they asked the wife, what about behavior? Has there been behavior changes? She said there has been a change in behavior. So he said that if we have to go out and this person has to dress up, he would stand in front of the cupboard, not being able to decide which dress to wear. So if I give him breakfast, this person can eat the breakfast. But if I ask this person what breakfast you would like, then this person says, I want idli, but those also is fine. And something else is also fine. Cornflakes is also good. So the wife asks him, which one do you want? This person is not able to make up the mind. And that started this entire research on the thinking and the emotion part in decision making. Now, the emotion has a big part in decision making. Okay, so any part of the decision that you make. Okay, how many of you, I do expect a lot. How many of you are married? Okay, a lot of you are married. Now, if I ask you why you married that person, you will give me logical answers. But there was something that you just felt was right about that person, which is why you decided to marry that. And that part is the right part of the brain, and the right part of the brain does not have a facility for language. That's the left part. So you are never able to clearly experience or tell somebody what was right about that person. But there was something that you felt right, and therefore you decide. It's the same thing. So that is what happens with every decision. That logically you would go and you would say, I want to buy a car, and then you just like the way the salesperson told, you just like the car that you want. Why? You would give logical reasons. If I ask you why you bought that car, you will give me logical reason, that the price was right, this was the fuel efficiency. But why that car and not some other car? No answer. That is the emotional part of you. So every decision that a human being takes has an emotional part. And any team member who ignores the emotional part is trying to manage just half of the entire workforce. You need to balance out the thinking and the feeling part. We have both. Okay. Now, you know what Mr. Bean did is not logical, but we still felt nice about it because the emotional part is saying, hey, this is funny, it is entertaining, I'll watch it. All decisions that you take, major decisions that you take, you are not able to completely explain that. So if I ask you, why do you like a particular food? Is there an answer? You will not tell me it has so many calories, it has protein. You'll not. You'll just tell me, I like the taste of it. What do you mean by that? No answer. Why? Because it's a feeling part of it. There is lots of things that we feel about the entire thing. So the feeling part is a big part of your personality and you cannot ignore it. This is especially true in IT companies where you feel that everything is logical. There are logical, the large part of your being is very logical, but there's a human part of yours, which is the feeling part. So the normal simile that is used for that is that it is like riding an elephant. Have you ridden an elephant? Anybody ridden an elephant? Okay, so some of you have. Okay, so you were holding on to a rope. And that mahout holds a rope. Now that elephant is being controlled by a thin rope. What happens when the elephant decides to ignore the rope? That is the emotional side. The emotion side is in check by that small rope. But when the emotion decides to take over, it takes. That is why you see road rage between two very logical people. So the Silk Board Junction is a very interesting place because most people there work for IT companies. Most of them are educated. Most of them have been abroad. So they are by all standards very sensible people, and you will find illogical fights breaking out there. The emotional side takes over. The emotion, this is not between some auto driver and one tempo driver having a fight. This is about two people who otherwise would be very logical. They probably manage large projects. They can write a plan. They can do lots of things. And they'll be having an illogical fight, saying your fault, my fault. You don't know. All those fights will happen. Why? The emotional side takes over. Anytime you feel a panic, have you felt a panic? Your surge of emotion, that's the emotion side. you have a panic attack, right? Yeah, it does be when if you have an important meeting to go to, or I come from a sales background, so every time sales have not been very good and you have a review, you have a great deal of tension about how do I spin this non-performance into actually great performance. But so there's a great deal of anxiety that happens. So all that is when the emotion side is taking over the logical side. So what is usually suggested when you have a panic attack? But how do you come? Yeah, so the first thing you do is to take a deep breath. Everybody tells you, stand back, take a deep breath. There's a reason for that. See, when you panic, the body takes you back to the caveman days. And in caveman days, the brain was not thought to be a critical function. Hands and legs were thought to be critical function. So what happens when you get nervous is that you start sweating, right? Your palms start sweating. If you get very nervous, you develop shivers. That is because too much of blood is going to the hands and legs, because a caveman, when he found danger, would either run away or fight. You require hands and legs for that. Now we have meetings, nothing else is going to happen. There's nothing physical required, but the body is still sending you start sweating, and so when you take a deep breath, you're pushing oxygen to the brain, so you start thinking again, and that panic will subside, because the logical brain is saying, hey, you are prepared, don't worry, you're a good guy, you know how to do things. The feeling will, but it is always about the feeling part. The more you ignore the feeling part and you consider yourself an only a logical person, you're ignoring a part of your decision making which actually involves emotions. And that's the strength and the weakness of a manager, because the manager comes with emotions. And when you have emotions, you have team connect, you have inspiration, you have leadership. You can't do any of them without emotions. But it also brings biases, favoritism, sometimes blind spots. All those things also come because of emotion. So it's a mixed bag. So really, you can't. My earlier slide, this one. Yes, there is a happiness. Reason, I mean, see, okay, the happiness index, yes. What are the reason for happiness? There has really been a lot of theory about it. I really don't know. So I'll tell you some things about. Among the happiest countries in the world are countries like Iceland. Have you heard of a country called Iceland? Iceland, Finland, very close to Russia, very cold countries with 12, when they have summer, they have nearly 24 hours of sunlight, and then for 6 months everything is dark. So really terrible conditions. Most people are fishermen, they go in cold, damp conditions and go and fish and earn their livelihood that way. But they have a great deal of happiness. So there was a study done saying, why are people in Iceland happy? Why people in Bhutan are happy? Why should they be happy? So actually, and in places like United States, for example, or even in the more affluent parts of Europe, there is a great deal of dissatisfaction. Some parts of it is one thing that they have in Iceland is a very strong community feeling. So the community actually supports you. There's an ecosystem that supports you, and there's a community that welcomes you as one of theirs. So you have a strong sense of belonging to that community, and that is one reason for the happiness. And wherever there has been a lot of hard work and hardship, actually it is produced happiness, strangely. So too much of comfort, too much of everything has also resulted in lack of happiness. That is what the studies show. You can disagree or agree, but that is what has been some of the things. And when you don't have a sense of belonging, When the community is not giving you a sense of belonging, you have dysfunctional groups coming into place, which is why you have the gang problem that you have in the US. In the poorer parts, what happened is that they don't have role models, they don't have people to support them, single mothers, they have a lot of drug problem. So what happens, they need a sense of belonging, so they go to all these violent gangs who indulge in drug trafficking and criminal activity. So a lot of people destroy their lives doing that, but that's unfortunately the other part of the teamwork. Okay, but coming back to how can you be happy? Physical activity helps. um, being part of a community, being with people helps. And I'm talking about actual physical face-to-face meetings. Instagram and Facebook have amplified loneliness in people. It didn't help during the COVID times. Okay, so one of the companies where I do consult a little, the HR person was telling me that they've had people telling them that we wait for your calls. There's a call from the company checking out if that you're okay. Mental thing. They're saying we don't have anybody else to call. So we wait for your call. You're the only person other than my parents who are worried whether I'm. So you have all that feeling of loneliness. So social media, and you might have 1,000 friends on social media. It has amplified loneliness. It has amplified social problems. I have nothing against all that. So please, I'm not trying to say that, but people, people who are anxious get anxious by posts that people post on social media. So name calling, fat shaming, produce disastrous results in people. So the social media has really not helped. And unless you have a people, unless you see people, you talk to a human being, happiness is not, the feeling of loneliness will not go away. Okay, so people are coming up with the ridiculous things. There is a company which is called Hug a Cow. They're saying hugging a cow, helps you get happiness. So, uh, I have no personal experience in that. I have no intention of hugging a cow, but that's what people are. There are, if you're rich and old, you have people in the West who will come and talk to you for a price. Uh, yeah, cuddling services. They call them cuddling. Yeah. We're moving to ridiculous. But how pathetic should you be saying that you just come and talk to me and I'll pay you for an hour because I'm old and lonely and I have nobody to talk to. So this is what creates, so lack of human contact, lack of friends. Yes, all these cause dissatisfaction. Community feeling that used to be there in India and has disappeared. That is one of the big causes for loneliness, and that's not going to go away with material possessions. So no matter how many likes you get on Instagram or Facebook, that feeling of loneliness will only go away if you meet another person. Phone calls help, but not as much as a physical thing. Okay, so um, now how do I ensure that the emotions and moods are, how do they affect them? Now, some people are naturally, the personality is such that I'm naturally happy or I'm naturally sad. Okay, so that personality can't. Day of the week, all these have been shown to have an impact on that. Okay, so uh, let me ask you that in a day, what time do you all start working? 9 o'clock, or does somebody start earlier? Oh, till about 5:36. Which is that part of the day when you are at your best, between 9 to 6? 10 o'clock, okay. Somebody says, is somebody very active at about 4 o'clock. Yes. So different people have different times of a day. Different people have different times of day when they're effective. There's no such rule that some people, I help my son with maths. 9 o'clock, if he comes and asks me a math question, my brain doesn't work. I can't do things very effectively at that time. I'm much more effective in the morning. My wife is a lot more effective in the evening and in night. So we work differently. So depending on your time, you should be doing the toughest task at the time you're at your best. If you're a morning person, do it at the best morning. Otherwise, do it at 4 o'clock, fine. But that's the time you should be doing your anything that requires a lot of thinking, planning, prioritization, problem solving, handling issues that are coming up, designing initiatives, all that you do at the time when you're at your best. So the time of the day does affect people. And if you work in the nights, no one. Oh, some of you do. Okay. Now that's becoming more and more common. Productivity in night shift is always lower than the day shift. Okay, so no matter what you do, so lots of things are done. You'll work in the, what is your timings? 10 to 7, 10 in the night to 7. Is your office brightly lit? Oh, you're working from home. That's even worse. That's even worse. But what does your boss do, to call you up to ensure you're awake, or okay. From home. Okay. Oh, good. No, I'm saying it is extremely difficult in the night shift to work from home. It's extremely difficult because everybody is sleeping. The whole neighborhood is sleeping. You can hear snores coming from the next room. Tough to work. So, but time of the day, we were talking about the night shift. So if you went to a BPO, you will find it to be very brightly lit because they're trying to mimic the sun. They're trying to tell you that, hey, you would have slept in the morning. So they're saying, yeah, this is day. So casinos do the same thing. If you went to a casino, it is brightly lit so that you don't know it is dark outside and it's time to go home. So you keep gambling right through the night. That is the idea. So you try to, if you are working at night, if the brighter your room is, you're tricking your body into thinking it is sunlight when it is not, or at least it is still bright. You can't sleep. When there's bright light, your brain gets active. So therefore you do that, but definitely time of the day. Now, day of the week, Friday. So we are all happy on Fridays. Okay, but sad on Mondays. Which day do you think people are the saddest? Surprisingly, Wednesday. Because, okay, Monday, you've had your rest. You've dragged your work, but you're okay. In Wednesday, you wake up on Wednesday and you're saying, hey, another 2 days to go. Week is not over. I'm already tired. I want a break. So, too much of work on Wednesday. So you're not at your best on Wednesdays. Okay, so is this universal? No. Some people are happier on Wednesdays. Some people are happier on. People who are workaholics might feel that Friday they are actually they're going away. There's a feeling of abandonment, and so they may not actually feel sad. So different people, but by and large, the time of the day of the week has an impact on productivity, have an impact on that. That's why talking of a 4-day week. Yeah. So they're saying that 4-day week will have. While there is no while there is on weather, there is mixed reaction to weather. Because some studies have proven that brighter days make people happier than the gloomier days. Okay, so but then even that is in the month of May, when it was very hot and we had a day like that, we actually felt happy. Now it has gone on for 2 days and we're saying, hey, It's raining too. So it depends. Weather does have an impact on that, but some of the happiest countries are countries with very extreme weather. Iceland is one example, where extreme weathers have produced a lot of hardship, but because the community came together, they actually felt very happy people. So you could have weather does not make as much a difference. Uh, Stress levels, if the stress level goes up, and this is an individual thing, some people take stress even at, they get anxious, they find anxiety at even small things, so that could worsen moods. So you could have prolonged stress levels. Other people can take a lot of stress. Any social activity will improve your mood. So things like team outings, Friday activities that company does your company have Friday activities? Fun Friday, okay. So even if you are hearing somebody from account singing a song very badly, it still helps you. Or you does your HR? How many of you from HR? Nobody from HR. Okay, good. Um, the most creative things that, why is it the HR person is saying no? I'll not. Nothing wrong. I come from HR background, so I have. Oh, from so good. But the most creative activities that HR can think of are either ethnic day or Rangoli competition. You know, they can't think of a third thing. So what happens is over a period of time it loses its impact. But yes, any activity, uh, even if it is not a grade, that is why um, if you have activities, in fact, I would recommend a lot of activities which involve more people. So does your Fun Friday involve you just sitting, or also activities when they get you to play a game or they do something? Any of that helps improve moods. So it's always good to do that. And I would recommend it be done on a Wednesday instead of a Friday. You need to do that. Any HR activity, any activity that where the company is spending money should result in more productivity. Friday evening, you do their off home, they're feeling happy and they go home. Do it on a Wednesday, then on Thursday, Friday, they work a little harder. So does your company bring motivational speakers? Yes. Complete waste of money, I promise you. They you can't motivate people by just, then your manager will motivate. Your manager is 80% that motivational speaker. So yeah, you can do it. You just think about it, it'll happen. All that managerial talk will happen. Doesn't really help. So the mood now, what is any physical, social activity that involves any informal activity definitely helps. Anything physical activity that is done definitely helps. Okay, so get people out of their chairs, get them doing a small activity and which is not very tiring. It will help. It doesn't matter what that activity is. Okay, so you will find that for example, when you go out on a picnic, if you're doing an activity like tug of war, have you ever done tug of war? Now, yes, all of us are not physically strong. We are out of shape, but it's still great fun to do that. So it's a great fun activity. So is it logical? No. Is it very simple to organize, and it's actually quite a fun activity. Now, an activity, does your company organize Antakshari and all that? And Antakshari, you understand Antakshari, right? Which is a very Indian thing. Now, it does not matter if you can't sing. It's a game, and the fact that you are singing and others are listening as part of the game is fun. So anything that involves people rather than sitting and passively listening to somebody is a fun activity. So you can think of any fun activity that you can uh, do. So that will definitely improve moods, improve people's uh, sleep. Yeah. Hmm. Smartwatches. Not see, it's a tool. It's about how you use it. If you have too many reminders, if you have reminder when to wake up, it's giving you too much of motivation, increases stress level. Yeah, you can. You can. You can monitor. You can monitor your heartbeat. What will a smartwatch do? It will tell you your heartbeat. It'll tell you your pulse rate. It'll tell you how much you're sleeping. What else can it do? It can't do anything more than that. I'm not really sure, but it can give you a score on that. But you can monitor this yourself. One way to fight stress is to become aware that you are stressed. If you are not aware of that, somebody needs to tell you, then you have a problem. You should understand your own stress levels. What am I feeling? Am I feeling stressed, anxious? So when you start doing that, you will be able to. I don't know, really don't know if a smartwatch will help you too much. Okay, so because I had a smartwatch would give me notification. One of the things it gave me that every hour I had to move. Okay, now when I'm in a meeting and it's busying, it created anxiety. I'm feeling guilty that I'm not moving. Now there's a meeting going on. I can't get up and say that I'll go for a walk and come back. It is not going to be thought about very nicely. So it actually started making me feel guilty for not doing things. So actually, to that extent, I stopped using it. I said, my analog is good enough. It tells me time and that's good enough. I don't need something to make me feel guilty. It was a good thing, but actually it had a very negative thing on me. I realized that I can't do what it is meant to do. It's a good thing that it expects me to walk every hour. Sometimes it is not possible. And when it doesn't, and it keeps vibrating, then it's creating. So exercise, moderate exercise always helps. So any lot of companies have walking clubs. It's a good idea. What they do is most of you will have a smartwatch, or at least everyone can download a free exercise app on your phone. And as a team, you say that we will do so many steps in a week. So you can do it anytime. You can do it after lunch. You can do it in the morning. You can do it alone. You can do it as a group. But totally the group says we will do 100,000 steps this week. It's a fun way of, you could have teams maintaining scores and saying, okay, we did more. You can do all that. But a moderate exercise does help moods. It does help a feeling of being part of the team. So it's something that is good to do. So if you're thinking of an activity, do that. People will say, no, I will not do it. But when you get a few people doing it, you will find others joining in. So you can exercise after lunch if the weather permits. You can do that. So any type of light exercise will help you. Or if you have dance and such events, do you have aerobic sessions, yoga sessions in your company? No. Yoga, yes, okay. See,
Zumba session.
because it's not very difficult to organize all this. You get a yoga instructor or you get one dance instructor, that person comes and does something. It's always good to, any exercise during the day helps you. So good to exercise. Sleep well. Okay, I didn't talk about sleep. This generation is sleeping lesser than the other generation. Blue light from the screen is affecting sleep patterns. So the more you sleep, the better. Better sleep, restful sleep is what is the thing. As you get older, something very, very good happens when you reach my age. You don't have to do fun things. I don't have to do happening things. I don't have to go to happening places. Friday, I can be at home and watch TV and I'm happy. I don't have to be in hot spots. So you tend to have less stress level. So if you're saying, no, I have to be in a happening place, all that increases stress. Women are thought to be emotionally more stronger. Okay, so than men. This is a proven fact. Emotionally, they are much stronger. So therefore, it's always good to, they handle stress a lot better than men do. Okay, but they also tend to panic a lot more easily. So it sort of balances out. Really no something. But I think a good mix of men and women will always help the team. I always believe that. I believe that very strongly. Not cry easily. They ensure you don't have conflict. The women I know who have worked in climate made other people cry. The smart women. So those women who cried stay at home. The one who come to work, they are not only competent, but they bring in lots of skills which will help them in the job. I've known lots of very, I was giving the example of Rekha Menon of Accenture. Excellent leader. You know, so lots of women leaders, lots of excellent women leaders. That crying part, being bad drivers, all that is days of past. No longer true. So it has been found that teams of men and women outperform only men teams. Studies have shown that. Okay, because it is also, they ensure less conflict. Men tend to behave better when there are women around. So overall, the team benefits. Right? You don't have the bad behavior that men normally do. That aggressive thing, you are a little more better behaved. So always good to have women in the team. And we are seeing a lot more women come to the higher levels of management. We don't have too many women CEOs. Okay, so we're going to, and I think the right decision has been taken by Mukesh Ambani, who's he's saying that my son and my daughter will all run my company. So Jio will be run by one son. The Reliance Retail will be run by the daughter, and the other son, he's trying to figure out how to get that person a little more. He'll look after the refinery and the oil business, the bread and butter. So they're saying that all of you get equal share of the empire. So that's a little about moods and what causes moods. Now, the other type is that there is a felt emotion and there is a displayed emotion. We'll just very quickly go through this. We're running out of time. Now, if you're upset about something, can you shout in your company? Because there is an accepted level of behavior. Okay, well, suppose somebody got a promotion and that person started jumping with joy saying, hey, I've been promoted. What would happen to what would the manager do? I give the promotion back. You don't deserve it. Get out of this company. It is not accepted. So what happens is that very quickly people realize that what is accepted and what is not. And so that I'm feeling something inside, but I can't show it out. This causes stress. It is frustrating you, but you have to smile and say, oh, yeah, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. For example, your boss comes and says, hey, you know what? Saturday, Sunday work. Deadline, project, customers, thing, very important customer. No, you can't say what a stupid idea is. Okay, if you want it. So there is a displayed behavior and there's a felt behavior. Inside you're boiling. You're saying, I had so many plans. Now all that is gone. The felt behavior is different. The displayed behavior is. And the difference between these two is what causes stress. So what happens is that there is surface acting, which means that you show it on the surface. Deep acting is that you're trying to, deep modification is when people actually try to modify the feelings that they're having. So if you're saying that I'm angry, you're trying to find out why you're angry and trying to modify that. So it can be done. Now, when you have a dissonance is when you have an inconsistency, you're feeling something but displaying something, you have a dissonance. And it is your brain is telling, hey, what are you doing? You're trying to show something which you're not. So it creates stress, uh, it creates anxiety in people. And what happens is that long term, it can lead to burnout. Okay, so one of the toughest job is to be a psychiatrist or a counselor. Okay, now you know psychiatrists and counselors, you counsel disturbed people. But what they have to do is to not display any emotion, no matter what that person says. For example, you might have some really disturbed people. They might want to harm themselves or harm somebody else. Now, as a psychiatrist, you make no value judgment. So you say, oh, I want to go kill people. Oh, but why? So you're supposed to do that. And what happens because of that is that displayed emotion is causing a great, as a human being, you're horrified by such thing. If somebody comes and tell you that I want to kill somebody, I want to burn this building down, you're horrified, but you can't show it. And what happens is that worldwide, the highest suicide rate is with psychiatrists. Why? Because who will they go to ask for help? I'm supposed to be the. So what happens is these sort of inconsistencies sometimes create a problem, and you have it creates lot of. So sometimes it can cause a lot of burnout. This in British, it is British English. It's called the stiff upper lip. Don't move your lip. So no matter what the other person says, you just be completely in control. And therefore lots of times, so people who handle maintenance or who are handling crisis, they're supposed to be calm. Who they say, okay, fine, we'll take care of whatever it is. Oh, there's a fire. You can't have a, you call up the fire station and say, hey, you know what, there's a fire, and the person panics, oh, fire, oh my god, people are going to die building. You don't want that. You want the person to say, yeah, okay, fine, we are trained for this, we know how to do it, just give us 5 minutes, we are there and we'll take care of it. You want somebody like that, but that puts a lot of pressure on that person. That person is panicking. You say, oh my god, fire, I don't know what is going to be there. But so the fact that there could be a dissonance between felt and displayed emotions takes a great deal of toll on people. It can happen within the company too. Okay, so no, that's for different reasons. This is not because of that. Because of, you know, I don't know if they're going on strike. I at least don't have any info. The strike is more a group decision, and it happens because of group pressures. That is because they have actually it is not a bad thing to have a strike, because you know, display your emotion, show that you're unhappy, and if the problems are sorted out, you come back actually happier. It is when you can't show that emotion, your company can't go on strike. They'll not allow you to go on strike. That's where the problem is. You can't go tell your boss beyond a point that you're unhappy with the job. Okay, so uh, there was a company, what they did is that thing, well-being, it's an MNC, so they said well-being of a company is very important. So anybody who is having any emotion, distress, anxiety, you can call a third number, and that third number, third party, absolute third party, just call that. You have a trained counselor and you can tell whatever your problems are. 6 months later, they did a survey to find out, I mean, they did an analysis to find out how many people contacted the number. You know how many people contacted the number? Zero. Why? Because the employees didn't trust them. They're saying, okay, this is another ploy by the company. If I go and tell somebody, you know what, I'm having a lot of stress, I'm distressed, the company might use it as a reason to throw me out of the job. So nobody did. So sometimes well-meaning things, if it is not properly explained, could have negative things. Now, okay, will not do effective. We'll do this. Now, intelligence was always about maths, ability to analyze things, look at shapes, and look at language. Then they found that there is no correlation between this and success in the real world. The smartest people, people who got the highest, the the maximum number of marks didn't often succeed in life. And you found the guy who was popularly called a idiot or duffer by the teacher actually went on to become a very successful businessman or started his own company. So they said, why is this? You have this person, very average IQ, but this person is doing great amount of work, and you have this very bright person who is doing really stupid things, is not able to actually perform. Why is that? And they came up with this thing about emotions. And they said that one of the things is emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is four things. Emotional intelligence is four things. If you're interested in reading a book, Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman is the best book to read on emotional intelligence. So it tells you what emotional intelligence is. Still the best book to read on Daniel Goleman. This is the emotional intelligence by him. Now, largely it tells you that the first thing is, do you understand your own emotions? Do you know when you're happy? Do you know when you're sad? Do you know when you're angry? The second thing is, do you recognize emotions in others? Can I, when somebody is angry, can I see and perceive that other person is angry? That's the second thing. And third thing is that, can I modify, control my own emotions? And the fourth one, which is very, very few people can do, can I control emotions of others? Okay, can I motivate people? Can I make people happy? That is the four things. If you can do four things and you can do three out of this four, your emotional intelligence scores will be very high. So you find that this is what we mean by connect, emotional connect. Okay, so what would your boss say if you say, I'm not feeling well? Nice bosses. Anybody having bosses like I did? My boss would say, oh, you're not well. Oh, I'm really sorry. But we have this very important thing. Can you come to the office for half a day? Huh? Then they know that when you come, your work pressures will take over. So, do you react the way a human being normally reacts? Is what emotional intelligence is all about. Okay, so how do people react? What would you say if somebody came and told you their pet dog died? You're sorry, but you're laughing because you're thinking, stupid dog. Why are you feeling so sorry? Get another one. There are 5 on my road. I'll give you. But for that person, it is a big loss. It is almost a family member. That person, and we are making fun of the dog died. Look at this fellow. Okay. Yeah. Do you show? I was expecting a reaction. Am I getting it from you? Is what emotional intelligence. Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm not a dog lover, so so I'm not passing a judgment, but yeah, they get they're ridiculous people. My friend's house, they have the photo of a dog with a garland. They're really ridiculous. But anyway, the fact is, do you react the way I expect you to react, or do you react that it's fine? Or if a friend came and told you that I got a good job, I got a good hike, do you feel excited and happy for that person, or do you say, okay, congrats? And the more with the men, what happens when a friend comes and tells you, I got a new job or I got a promotion? What do we do? Huh? Congrats and ah party kab hai? So the way it is told is, I got a new congrats. Party kab hai? The excitement is of the party, not about you getting a job. So the people who are emotionally intelligent are people who can read the audience, who can read people and say that I am going to behave accordingly. Is it manipulative? No, it is just understanding people. So anybody who's a people person, see, for example, my brother was much more popular in school than me. And he would have people writing his notes willingly, happily. And I could never understand. I never had that sort of connect. And, I would have this friend, he would come home, pick up my brother's book, classwork, go write it and bring it back. Because that was a sort of level of contact and relationship they had. So, is that the sort of thing that you can get in people? Yes. So, inspiring managers can get that level of connect. That is what emotional connect does. Okay, so let me. Okay, we do that, and uh, let's just do this last thing. We are running out of time. Um, how do we regulate emotions? This first one is surface level acting is behave like nothing has happened. Okay, so be calm on the surface. Whereas the storm is inside you. Deep acting is change that, and by thinking, why am I feeling angry? Can I change that? That is deep level acting. Emotional suppression is something that is done very often, that we suppress our emotions. We really don't show emotion. What do you think happens with emotional suppression? No, there's something, it could be lead to depression. It can, sorry, it could burst out at any time. It can also result in physical ailments. Because what would happen is when you are suppressing unconsciously, you might be doing physical activity to physically suppress that emotion. What we do, we clench our fists, shoulders are clenched. Okay, so, or the abs are tightened because we really are doing everything. It could lead to back pain, headaches. You can have all those issues because of that. Cognitive reappraisal is actually introspection to find out, why is it happening? Can I change it? Can I change my reaction to it? Okay, the social sharing is what was done and what is still the best way to do it. When you go talk to people who are good listeners and you say, I'm having a problem. So lots of times this person does not offer a solution, but the very fact that you've shared it with someone lessens the burden. Okay, that's what happens, right? That when somebody is sick in the family, you go visit that person. You're not a doctor. But the fact that you care and you have shown that you care helps that other person. So that is what mindfulness is. When you're at this moment, you're not thinking of consequences. You're not thinking of what happens. You're very much in the moment, and you're saying, okay, when that happens, I will deal with it. Why think of something that has not happened right now? Has it happened? No. So let me be at this moment, which is what mindful. So all this is about regulation, because workplace we can't really show too much of emotion. So this is really the strategies for that. And um, okay, some things in um, in certain jobs, emotional intelligence, emotions have begun playing roles. For example, as a pilot, you want the pilot to be somebody who's emotionally strong. You want doctors who are emotionally strong. So in certain jobs, EI and use of EI is becoming very, very common. All doctors, I mean, all pilots regularly go through what is called a psych evaluation, because you don't want a pilot who's depressed. You don't want a depressed, you know what, I'm going to die and I'm going to crisis brain. You don't want such. There have been cases. There have been cases where people crashed with a lot of people on board who had no role to play with this depression. So you might want to do that. Now, um, any activity that encourages creativity, while I criticize it, Rangoli competition, yeah, it does help. It does help bring out creativity. Anything? Do you have cubicle decoration and such thing? So all that, any creative activity, poster making, all that helps. All that helps improve moods. All that is very positive. Okay, so motivation, uh, things like customer service where people shout at you, definitely emotions play a role. So you can, you don't want a customer service person shouting at you, being rude. While I say that, standards are very poor, so really they don't do a great job. Uh, the last things are the reason why we look at emotions is because otherwise you could have deviant workplace behaviors. Absenteeism is the simplest of them. The other things could be more dangerous. You know, um, you could be actually harming the organization. You could be harming other people in the team. Any behavior like that. And the last one is safety. People who are depressed, who are not at their best, may not be very vigilant to risk and can actually place themselves and others at risk. So you need to be careful about that. All this leads to emotional well-being. And person who is emotional well-being is happy, is a good productive employee. So employer, so bright colors, you know, all that. Is there pipe music played? It is done in certain organizations. Okay, so music playing around in the thing. Okay, so soothing music, not some rock band or something. Soothing music to calm people down. In Japan, meditation is followed as a rule. Okay, meditation went there, yoga went there from India. If you went to a Japanese team, lot of tension, they'll as a group sit down and meditate for about 15 minutes. We don't do it in India, but it is done in Japan, very commonly done in that. Oh yeah, sleeping also. In China, you can have a nap, but that's for a different reason. You can have a nap because you'll be working for the next another 8-9 hours. So you want to take a nap after lunch? Okay, fine. Anyway, you're going to be there till 10 o'clock, so it's okay. How will half an hour work? So, but um, while I think organizations have become more and more reasonable, they are understanding that emotions play a big role, that you can't remove that, and that you can't talk only about logic. And emotion, moods, and attitude is what leads to employee satisfaction. If I can manage these two, I'm going to have very, very satisfied employees. Okay, so that is really what. So if I can get employees who are very satisfied, so the one of the most satisfied organizations was NASA, because they said we are there for a higher purpose. We are going to space exploration, the next frontier. So we are not concerned with small things like tea and coffee or some workplace, because I have a higher purpose. So one way to do that is to look at a higher purpose in your organization. Doctors have been found to be emotionally very strong because they have a huge psychological satisfaction in actually healing people. They can see people being healed. Somebody came with pain and I ensured that they go away. So that's why teachers have a great deal of satisfaction because they sometimes help people. So other professions, we need to find the higher purpose. Okay. I'm sorry I took a little part of your lunch. I still hope you have a nice lunch, and I'll see you 2 weeks from now. Okay. Mhm. the PPTs will be available so that you can, the assignment is also there and the PPTs are also, so you can use the PPT. All of you will get the PPTs for all the. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.